Hi guys, welcome back. Been busy the last couple of weeks. Um, yes, in this one, I'll just be going over the basics of creating something in SpeedTree. I'll from SpeedTree to 3S Max and shading it, etc. We'll be trying to create these. I don't know what they are called. Some type of fern, jungle fern. I don't know. Um, so I'll be using some Megascan atlases, stuff like that. I find that they are really good. So let's start. So the first thing is obviously let's open SpeedTree. Okay. What I can see from these references was that just quickly open this reference files again. It's okay. Just quickly filter through those. Okay, I'll see if I can create it more likely like this, but most probably it will not look like this. So bear with me. So first thing is let's throw down a. By the way, to access the short menu here, for those of you who don't know, is just right click on the mouse and you'll have these options right here. And the other way is to add it up here if you want to, or right click on the tree here and add it there as well. The other one, I mostly like to work here because it's closer to where I'm working. So let's just add a trunk. All right. So for those who want to know how to create this black background is quite easy. Just click in the null space here and just go to the window properties where you can select solid color, ambient light, whatever. Just say solid color and just choose a color. I like to work in black because then I can see the object, the plant shape, etc. It's much easier then. So let's quickly put down a trunk. Let's scale it down. Trunk, the spine, and there at the absolute value. Just put in a number 6. The skin is the radius of the trunk. So let's just make that thinner. Go into the curve there, where we can literally shape the trunk how we want it. Thin, thick, whatever. So let's just make it thinner at the bottom. Top as well. Okay. What we can do is we can double click and add a few more points so we can shape the top. You know, whatever. It's quite easy. So let's just do that. You can shrink it down like that, or you could just put a cap on it if you want to. It depending on where you want this model. If it's going to be a close-up model, I suggest you go to a cap, texture it, etc., stuff like that. So next thing is let's add the other branches. Let's use let's use the big branches. Okay. Is the sound coming through, guys? Is it okay? The stream okay? Stuff like that. Please shout out if it's not. So let's increase the frequency a bit more. So let's Okay, let's go back to the spine. Go down to the noise and late noise. Let's just put that to 0. Go back to the reference. As we can see, they're quite smooth. So let's point them up. And introduce a bit of gravity. Like that. All right. Next one is, let's keep the leaves quite uniform in length. Shorter at the bottom, larger at the top, and then the top ones a bit shorter again. Let's quickly check that out. All right. To do that, let's go into the big branches again and just go to the spine. This parent length, if we go to the trunk, to the spine, if we engage the branches or the stems will grow gradually with it. All right. So if you want to keep those absolute, rather use the absolute value. So let's use the absolute value. So now, if you take the trunk now and take it up, they will stay absolute, which we want. All right. So let's do that. And in the trunk, the stems, let's go close up. Let's go into the curve here as well. And now we literally shape it how we want it. Larger ones at the bottom. Like this. Double click to add another point. Okay, something like that. So now, let's quickly go into the, create the leaves themselves. Okay, let's just quickly see. Okay. And now we'll be using the leaves. We'll create some branches on these stems and use them as only splines, so we can use the frond generator on them. So we can create a mesh either here in SpeedTree using the cutout mesh tool they have, or you can create it in your DCC application, and whatever you want, you can create your own topology. But for this, I will just be using the SpeedTree one. So just add the branches to them. Again, let's just use the big branches as well. Just scroll down to the generator tab and extend parent, let's put that to any, so they'll grow at the front. Okay. So, next one. Obviously, we don't want them noisy like that, and we need to introduce a little bit more of polygons to the mesh itself. In order to see that, just go to the render tab up here and just go to scribed. Okay, firstly, I don't like to work in triangles, so let's go to the tree tab here and let's scroll up. Yeah, geometry. Let's add the branches to quads. Those we can leave to triangles, and that's about it. If we work in subdivisions like the old, let me just go down here. Terrain, where is it? Yeah, sub D, branches and trunk, but it's a bit slow. So the new trunk modifiers are quite nice, so let's stay with that. As we can see, the stems have enough polygons. You can introduce more if you want. It's up to you, depending how close you want this. In the next stream, I will probably show you guys how to set up some LOD levels for these as well. So let's go into the branches, go to the mode, and in the mode, let's put it to Philotaxi. I hope I'm saying that right. And in the style, let's choose opposite discus, whatever that means. Okay, let's generate some more of them. Spine, generator and spread. Let's take that way down, somewhere like that. As you can see there, they're slightly offset from each other there, and that's what we want. So let's take down the internode length down. Okay, that is way too much. Sorry guys, I think it was the alternating discus. Yeah, that's the one we want. As you can see, they're alternating from each other. All right, and in the spine, let's put off the late noise. You can leave it a little bit if you want, just to give that extra feel to it. All right, so let's just focus on this one leaf or branch. To do that, just select the leaf and just type in F to focus. So now we can modify the branches, the angle, the starting angle to match that. So let's close up that negative space over there. That would be in the spine tab. In the starting angle. Sorry, wrong one. This one. Starting angle. As you can see. So we want the bottom ones to have some sort of angle, and then the top ones way more. So let's go into the curve itself, add another point, and let's start taking down that point till we get a value we want. Okay, that's looking good. And now, yeah, now let's make them not this equal length, or maybe some of them can go a little bit sideways if they want to. Let's go to the spine. Absolute length. Again, you can put this to absolute if you want, or parent. So if we make these branches a bit longer, they will then automatically adjust to the length of the stem. So let's just shape these as we want them, the length. Okay, there we go. Let's just, sorry, excuse me, guys. Max this out. So we want them to have sort of a bulge type of feeling to it. So in order to do that, let's just quickly go back into that curve there and just add a few more points and make them, there we go, Bezier curves. And now you as an artist can then shape this as how you want it to be to match the style you are doing. Okay, something like that. To eliminate that offset value there, just take down the variance way off. Okay, like that. Sorry, that was on the starting angle on the parent there. Let's just take that down to 0. So now we have that. If this is what you want, let's introduce a little bit more there, just slightly. Nothing too crazy. Something like that. And just go back to the shape of it. Okay. Shape that down. All right, something like this. Okay, now let's add some gravity to them, like that. Next step is, let's just quickly, all right, now let's create a material for those leaves. Okay, double click on that, leaves. Okay. Go to the, open my bridge here. I hope everyone is doing well, wherever they are. Okay. So just Control F to bring back the rest of the model. Starting to look good. Let me just quickly locate those atlases I want to use. I'll be using these palm leaf ones for this practice here. So these you have to manually go and find them through SpeedTree them itself. So what I like to do is I just right click on those files, so it opens the file name, and then the file name like this. So now in SpeedTree, I can go look for it. So in the color tab, I'll just double click or click on it. Just wait for it to open. Okay. Now, what you're going to do is you can use the use native dialog. So let's just quickly look for that number. Plant. Okay. Scroll down. No. Plant trees. Okay. Plant trees. Which one is it? The B. Plant trees. Okay. Sorry, guys. You know how live streams are. They're not usually smooth. Plant. Why can't I find this thing? Plant trees. Plant. Damn. SD33H2. Okay, there it is. Okay, so now we just quickly look at the albedo. Go into the opacity and look at the opacity. Just remember to enable two-sided here. Okay, now in the meshes tab, let's just quickly add one there. Okay, so let's create our cutout for the first one. Is the streaming okay, guys? Is it working? Okay, so now let's just, sorry guys, let's just edit that one quickly. So how we go about this is, what you can do is you can show the opacity slot. So now we can literally just quickly drag these points to where we want them, like that. And just use your wheel and your mouse to scroll in and just finesse the points in like that. Okay. Let's just move this point up. Excuse me, guys. This will be a more of a VFX tree, you know, with a lot of polygons to it. So this will not be a game tree. So just add a few points here like that. We'll need these to shape it, to curl it and stuff like that. Okay, and add a point at the top. All right. This will be a low one. Let's just move the angle. This is where your leaf will start, this point from your branch. Let's just add it there. Take the angle to a point that closely matches the cutout and just add a few points here in the middle. Like that. And just assign this arrow to the low poly mesh. And for the medium one, let's add a few more. Again, you guys can create this in your application you're using, like Houdini, Maya, 3ds Max, Blender, well, you name it. The workflow is still the same. So let's just use this as the medium one. And then the high resolution one, let's just increase the tessellation a bit. And there you go. A bit more. Okay. So now the first leaf is set up. In order to apply that to the branches we added is the following. All we need to do is, in the branches we have there, just go to the skin tab. Under the type, let's just take that to spine only. Okay, so we have that. In order to add those leaves, we need to do the following. To add a, where is it? Fronds. Okay, hope I'm saying it right. And just apply this material to the front. Okay, so there, now we have something almost what we want. Let's just scroll in here quickly. Okay, to avoid this, in the front tab, if we scroll down, we have the boundary, the start. As you can see, if we move that up, it pushes out the leaves. So let's just push that down to 0. Now the leaves connect. What you can do is, in order to shape them more of your liking, is to go into the scale under width, the blue curve. In this one, you can literally shape it how you want it to be. So where they come out of the tree, you can make it thinner, something like that, you know. Let's just quickly see how it looks. So far, it's looking good. Okay. Again, this is not a close-up tree like this. You can go into the branches like this and go to the skin tab. And in the radius, absolute radius, you can add a few points here and just minimize it till it closely matches the front there, to avoid that weird overlapping issue we have there. Okay, to have a two-sided feel to this in SpeedTree, let's just add the rest of the maps, like sorry guys, here's my webcam just decided to bug out. Just quickly fix that. And we're back. Okay, so in order to have the rest of it, let's just add the normal. Add the normals. Go to the gloss. Add the gloss value here. This is just to have it look nice in SpeedTree itself. I think in Vray we'll be messing around with it a lot more. Okay, and subsurface scattering, I normally just quickly take the albedo To see it better, let's just go down to the underneath it like this. Okay, and in the subsurface, let's just add the let's just add a just use the roughness. Okay, the roughness will drive the power in SpeedTree. Okay, so this will be the color, so we can increase the brightness, maybe some contrast. Let's take saturation a bit up, increase the brightness as well. So now let's just increase the subsurface percentage right over there. Whoop, that's too much. Let's take it down to 1. 0.5, 0.3, something like that. Okay. So we have the basics down here now. Let's introduce a bit more gravity into the branches themselves. Again, you can use gravity. You can have the branches have more gravity at the bottom, less at the top. You can do this is in the gravity tab under the green curve. You can decrease the top. Let's just take this down to the trunk. As you can see, the top ones will get less, the bottom one will get more. All right. So if that is what you are looking for. So now all the leaves look the same. So we need to add more. There's 2 ways of doing this. You can add make a set. You can add another one in here. Or what you can do is in the mesh, you can add a few of them in here as well. So in the front, under the material itself, you can add a few more over here as well. But then you have to make another leaf set here as well. So let's just quickly deselect that one, delete those 2. Yeah, these 2, let's delete them. And okay, let's add another mesh cutout and quickly just add a few more. Okay, guys, I'm just going to quickly run through this. I'm not going to make this a perfect model like so. Add this there. Add that model. Add a few tessellation. Add that. Add a few more and add it there. As you can see, those were applied as well. Okay, that's one way of doing it. So something like this is doable. The cool thing about SpeedTree is now, if you have this set up like you have now, like this, just click on the space right next to the graph and just randomize. So now it's spitting out different models for you as you go. All right. You can even just do the fronds themselves and randomize those, or the other branches, like so, depending if you have a bigger tree, etc. So I normally create a bark for this type of trees in Photoshop, but I think I have one lying around here somewhere. Let me just quickly look. Let's add a new one. Let's just call this stem / bark. Okay. In the stem, let's just quickly go to the color. And I hope it's in here. Let's go to the use navigate. All right. Should be at the last time I've modified this. I think it's this one. Yeah, I'll quickly just use this one as well. So what you can do is you can create this. Let's just take down the brightness. Those will fix in Vray itself. So let's just throw this on the bark. So we'll assign the rest to it. Okay, so now let's just make the UVs a bit nicer here in SpeedTree. Go to the trunk, UV. Let's take this down to 0. And now let's just scale this up a bit. Offset it down like so. You can use the fractional one as well. Let's use it like that. So that's sorted for the trunk. One thing I noticed here, let's just increase this flare amount there. So in those branches, let's go down to the skin tab. And where is those? Oh yeah, the spread. So the upper value will obviously increase the upper amount there, and the lower amount. So let's increase the upper amount a bit more, and lower amount. I also think let's introduce a little bit more of the polygons, so we have a nicer feel to it. Where is those? Absolutely, let's introduce a bit more there. And the radial one, let's take it up to 12. All right, that's looking better. Okay, let's scroll out. All right, let's modify the UVs on the branches as well. Enable that. Extrude those out. Before that, let's just quickly make sure the offset value is correct. Okay. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect for this one. This stream is just mostly to show you guys the workflow I use from SpeedTree to create something and taking it through 3ds Max, texture it, and so on. So maybe I'll just copy this one, duplicate it, and just select one that doesn't have a visible pattern like that. For this, let's just quickly use the native color of SpeedTree itself. Okay, let's just quickly fix this. Why is it doing this? At the bark. There we go. Deselect this. All right. Take up the value. Something like that. That can work. So if you have your basic model like this, then all we need to do is just export this as a VBX export mesh. And for this, let's just create a folder quickly. Just call this stream. Okay, and VBX. I find that this value is a right value to export out of SpeedTree to 3ds Max. If any of you out there know something that I don't about the scaling from SpeedTree to other applications, please tell me. So let's just quickly say, okay, now it's exporting those materials. In the meantime, we can just quickly open 3ds Max as well. Yeah, okay, so now that's done. Just wait for 3ds Max to open. Tell me, guys, would you guys like some music in the next streams that are coming, or do you like one that has nothing to it? Please comment in. Hmm. So, damn, this must have taken a long time. I recently started using Houdini, and it is insanely fast. Eventually, maybe 3ds Max will open. So another thing, while 3ds Max is opening up, in the leaves themselves, you can add variations to them like this, and you can adjust the colors how you want them, etc. Maybe the other one's a bit to the yellow side, something like this. And if you go to the file and export mesh, you have the ability to include, just say this one, no, so add this one to the second tree. All right. You have the ability to include variations as well. So that's sometimes a bit helpful. But with the new Vray 5, you have the ability to use the multi-subtext to have different values from one map to them all. And that's quite nice to that have the, because what SpeedTree will be doing is if you click that button, it will create maps and a ton of them. So if you have a lot of leaves with different values, it will create those textures to all of them. So I'll usually just leave this to nothing and add the variations in in Vray itself. But one thing I can point out is you need to have all your different meshes here, or all your different front maps ready with the different geometry to them. Otherwise, the tree will still, or the plant will still look too uniform, if I can say that. Okay. What's going on with 3ds Max today? Yay. Okay. So in SpeedTree, let's go to the modify panel, and in the Max script tab, let's just quickly run the script that SpeedTree offers with the package. Let's just add that. And we have an import for Vray. Just quickly click on that. Look at the file, the VBX. Well, SpeedTree creates its own file for this. So that's the SpeedTree we have. Quickly add that. And that's, you can render this now. It will look sort of okay. But I find that the materials that come from SpeedTree, the setup is a bit, what's the word for it? Overcomplicated done. So in this, let's just quickly add the dome light. In the map, let's add let's just scroll down to Vray bitmap. By the way, guys, I'm on Vray 5 here. So if you don't have the same menus, in the old Vrays like Vray Next, it would be called I think Vray HDRI, something like that. Because the new one is just the Vray bitmap now. Let's quickly add my HDRI. I like HDRI even. They're free and they're quite good. So let's just choose one here quickly. All right, just delete that one. Quickly create a camera. Show frame. Okay. Off the bat, quickly show you guys here. Mhm. Damn. Well, let's just quickly go to the camera tab. Add the exposure control to it. All right. Let's just take this up to about 10-ish, maybe 12. No. I think 8 will work. Okay, so let me just quickly zoom in and show you guys why I don't like to use the straight out of the bat shaders that come out from SpeedTree. As you can see, it looks kind of like a plastic tree now at the moment. Plant doesn't look that good. So let's fix this. Open up our material editor and simply just retrieve that material. So it automatically creates this little nice multi-sub object for us here. But in the leaves themselves, let's just firstly, let's take this to the ACES workflow. That's a tutorial on its own, but Vray 5 has made it a lot easier to work with now. Let's just take this to ACES CG and auto RGB primaries. Okay, so that's done. Now we need to convert all the textures from bitmap to the Vray bitmap in order to have the textures be able to work with ACES. So this will take some time. And there you go. So now, let's quickly stop this IPR here. In the textures themselves, we need to do a couple of things. For instance, I don't use this. That would be the translucency we set up in SpeedTree, these two values over here. So now, let's just delete those and introduce some translucency as well. Okay. The next one would be to take down the blur values of all of the maps. Okay. Same for the normals. And in the normal, that needs to be, just scroll up here, down to none. Okay, to have its raw data. So ACES knows that. And in the diffuse or the albedo, I have to set this from 3ds Max and scroll down, and the RGB primaries to sRGB primaries to tell Vray to convert it from a sRGB to a ACES CG. Okay, so that is now set up for the texture for the leaves. Just wait for the just delete the opacity there for the stem and for the stem bark as well. So now it will be a lot better. Just quickly move this orbit around. And in the display, let's just add my OCI. All right, this is CG Rex 709. Let's quickly stop this. Go back into the settings. Okay, let's take this back in front again. For some reason, it is not converting. This is strange. Okay. Let's go to the branches themselves or the leaves themselves, and let's just quickly add variation to them, different colors, etc. So in order to do this, without using a ton of other maps, let's just quickly create a Vray multi-subtech. In this, we can pipe different values to it, and you have this in, I think, Vray for Houdini as well. So that's nice. Let's just make this 5, or for this stream 3. Okay. In order for this to work, let's just quickly visualize this with a red, a green, and a yellow. Okay, let's quickly pipe that in. Off the bat, it's only red. So now, from the get ID from, let's just take that down to random by element. What this will do is it will go look at all the elements on that as well. And a few other things as well. If you want, if you start to scatter something, you can use the particle ID. So it randomizes the particles and so on. So let's bring back the, sorry, just take down the select camera and take down, let's take this to 9, something like this. Oh, you know, guys, what I didn't do is I need to go into the Vray light and actually tell ACES to convert the HDR to ACES CG as well. So let's just scroll down, and this you can need to do inverse gamma. Just tell Vray to take it from sRGB primaries to ACES CG, and if you want to, you can blur it, whatever floats your boat there. So the next one is, let's just quickly go into this to none, raw. Okay, let's just create general color correction. So in this way, I can quickly create 3 different maps. Like we have the host one, which is the default is just to display it on the tree itself, or the plant itself, and then the other 2 is the other elements. So this one will pipe in that one, and just shift down and pipe it into that one. Hello. Okay. So now what we need to do is, in the second one, just give it maybe a more of a, I'm going to exaggerate these values just for demonstration purposes. Let's take this to 10, and this one to -5 or something like this, or somewhere there. So as you can see there, we have some different values over there as well now. Let me just rotate this around. Okay, so now let's work on the the shading itself of the tree. I'm not seeing any nice reflections to it and stuff like that. So in the new Vray, you can use the shading they introduced with the HDR and the bowl here, but I tend to use the normal one. Sometimes when you have a lot of materials, it will take some time to recalculate those, and if you're on a deadline, it takes quite a bit of time to recalculate. So normally when I work with tons of materials, I just disable any global rendering, so now I can move freely and stuff like that. So in the roughness parameter here, just quickly set this to none as well, and raw. Okay, so let's just quickly open this. As you can see, it's pure white. So what we can do is we can quickly fetch that roughness. Basically, roughness is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, is a glossy map inverted. So let's just quickly disconnect that. Go into the shader itself and take down the roughness. Okay. Take this down to 3. Those leaves look stiff. Let me just scroll down into this one. Just make sure we selected that glossiness value, which is this one. Oh, sorry guys, I need to re-enable global rendering so I can see what has happened there. Okay, now I see we have a map there. So let's just invert that. Let's just use the output map within Vray, general output, invert. Type that into the yes, roughness there. As you can see, we are getting some. I don't know why it's doing that. Let's delete that. So we're getting some reflection, but I think the normals are a bit too strong on this model itself. Maps, and just scroll down to see. This is why I don't like to use the default out of the book settings from SpeedTree. They're quite strong, so I tend to redo this by hand, etc. So now we're getting a nice sheen to them. This is not perfect shading. This is mostly just to show the workflow and converting it so you can use it within ACES. We have some sort of two-sidedness happening here now, which is nice. We have a nice shine going on. Also, let's quickly show you. After this, you can put in another color correction node, and what you can do is just make the leaves a bit brighter as well if you don't want them to be this dark. That's what I normally do. I quickly tweak materials to suit my needs or the look I want. All right, that's a bit better now. Like, we could have done a bit more work in SpeedTree itself with the fronts themselves to have a bit of a more shine and curl to them. Let me just quickly go back and show you how to do that. In the front generator itself, in geometry, we have the ability to curl them like this. Now this is quite important. That's the angle we set up in SpeedTree, that long yellow line. This will be where it curls from. So if you fold it, it will fold from that line. So just remember, you need to add a lot more polygons to have a nice effect for this to be working. Like for instance, if I needed to do this for, let's say my, just quickly pause this. Like in the jungle project, I did like these trees over here and here. I made some meshes in 3ds Max with a nice quad topology flow that I have a low subdivision value, a high subdivision value, and a medium, and so on, so that I can use that with the LOD system within SpeedTree, which is these resolution values over here. And that is the values we set up here in order to have them read like that. So what I would do is I would create a high poly, export that out, export a medium and a low, and then I would use in 3ds Max the LOD system that Forestback has, which is quite nice. It works. I use it extensively in the jungle project. So the leaves are looking flat now because I didn't add the nice curls they have, etc. But the nice thing is now we can go back to those leaves and quickly add for the high poly model, quickly add a few more polygons. So it's looking a bit better. Let's add a few more for this high poly model. Okay. Take that away. Let's go back to the high poly model. As you can see, now we have a lot more information to play with. So in the front, now we can play with the curl like this, put a little bit down. Same for the gravity and so on. This is why I would rather create the mesh within 3ds Max to have a nice flow so you can curl it via the center line. So now that's why we're getting these little shadows over there, because we have a triangle forming there. Then I would rather import those and apply the material to those and to the fronds themselves. So for this, I'll just quickly export this out again to 3ds Max. Use that same one. Or no, let's just quickly use SpeedTree 2 and save. Okay. Now let's just quickly go back into 3ds Max. Are you talking about the jungle project? Bolster Cinema, whatever. Only some places I use Tyflow, mostly on the rocks themselves over here, I used it. And on the tree trunks here at the top, and obviously the temple, I use Tyflow to scatter the moss. The rest is mostly just Forestback for scattering the trees, etc. But you can use Tyflow for that as well. Keep crashing, too much particle. Just remember when you're rendering with Tyflow, just quickly create a Tyflow icon here so I can quickly show you in it. This one, Tyflow. you need, if you have your scatter set up like this, always remember if you're using Vray for the render itself, I don't know what you're using, but if you're using Vray, just tick on the render instances. That will create like proxies of it. So just remember to tick that on. Otherwise, if you leave it to triangle mesh, it would create billions of polygons and then your system will crash. So just remember that. I found out the hard way. So I'm telling you, this is the way to do it. Other ways you can just, I think you can cache it out. That's what I did for the temple itself, the moss over there, because I need the moss to be moving and stuff like that with the temple. So I used the cache, but the cache took some time to generate. So if you have something small like rocks where you want to scatter Typho or moss or whatever you're scattering on, then it's fine. Don't need to cache it out. Just leave it like that. Just bear in mind, if you have a large scene with a lot of Typho objects in it, it would take some time to open and regenerate them. That's the main reason why I die-catch this out, so it doesn't need to regenerate those billions of points again. Just a side note. So let's just quickly back to the model itself here. So let's just quickly delete this one and re-import the new one. But now we have set up the shader. So all we need to do is just reapply that and things will be okay, I hope. Sorry guys, I'm so used to playing in Houdini with the speed, etc. It's quite nice. So now I'm getting a bit frustrated here. Replace it like so. Let's just quickly re-render it this now. This tree is looking a bit funky. Quickly zoom in here. I think what we can do is we can increase the width of them, so there's more light, etc. But it's always a good thing to have a overcast HDR in your scene as well, or different lighting situations to see how your materials interact and so on. This is more of a quick rush workflow that I'm showing you guys just to create something in SpeedTree, retexturing it in 3ds Max, and have your assets ready in Aces for your next project and so on. Just quickly put in I'm looking for my HDRs that are more in a, let's say a foresty, mossy, maybe this one quickly. Okay. As you can see, that's why I would normally suggest to model your meshes out in a other application and importing those in. I don't know, maybe the new SpeedTree 9 has a new feature that we don't know about. That will be quite cool to have a nice mesh generator in there. As you can see, we have a nice sheen going on. It's only the stems and the trunk that look a bit off now with not matching the color of the stems themselves. So that's just mostly on your side, just to quickly tweak the colors and so on. We can do a color check, quick check it, and just play with the values here till we get something that's sort of, yeah, something like that. That sort of resembles the value there. And this one we can just quickly pipe into this one. So that is the method I used to create the trees and trunks and everything in the scene you're seeing in front of you, back and forth, testing things. Let me just quickly open up the bigger tree I did. Sorry, guys. Where did I save this? New, sorry. Okay, let me just quickly open it. So yeah, this is one of the bigger trees I did for this scene. That's the one we are seeing in the foreground over here. So yeah, the vines that I did, that was a I didn't use the generator, like adding a generator, converting your mesh to a generator and wrapping the trunk around the tree. You can do that, but I find sometimes that the vines themselves don't cling to the tree, and that's not what I wanted. So this one I did manually. I went in and used the hand-drawn tool and literally sculpted the vines going up it. And that's what gave me that feeling. You can take this to ZBrush and further detail it and sculpt on it, stuff like that. But yeah, this is the workflow I use to create the trees, any tree, for instance. So yeah, this was just a quick rush. One would take normally about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours max, just to model the plant itself and then take it. So just a key thing, I didn't look at the reference while I was doing this. You need to have your reference constantly open in order to have a nice model. So I had a ton of reference for this project, from the moss to the other plants and so on. So yeah, that's it for me here. It's quite late here, so I'll be shutting down here. So I hope you guys found this stream useful. If you guys have something you guys can tell me or teach me, I'm all up for that. So I hope you had a good one, guys. See you soon.